This is Tatooine Sons.
It's been a few weeks since we finished our last Jedi series, which was a lot of fun. Kind of going back and re-looking at that. And we had every intention in the world to continue and pick right back up and start talking about a bunch of different stuff with Star Wars Visions with anticipation for the Ninth Jedi series that's releasing. And by the time this comes out, it's releasing tomorrow. And we were going to talk about Screecher's Reach. We were going to talk about, we're going to do a whole episode on Volume 1 of the Ninth Jedi, Volume 2 of the Ninth Jedi, do an episode on the trailer and talk it through. And then, as happens with so many people that do these kinds of podcasts and create this kind of content, you're not getting paid full time to do this. And so life kicks in. You've got travel, you've got school, you've got work, you've got life. And so we're doing it. We're gonna cram all of the Ninth Jedi preview stuff into one episode. And that's what this one is. And then hopefully the next time we record, we'll talk about what happened with the Ninth Jedi season. I don't know. Is it Volume 3?
I think they just say it's a limited series. I think it's just called the Ninth Jedi. Yeah. So,
but it's definitely picking up.
Yeah, of course,
based on the stories that we've seen in the other. So let's talk about this because I remember the first time watching the Ninth Jedi, the original short that came out in Volume 1 of Star Wars Visions, finishing that and saying, that feels like a series. Or it feels like a movie.
Yeah, we were like, there's more there. Like, there's a lot more that they can do.
We were campaigning for a series off of this.
A series since or it came out. A movie or something.
Yeah. Since before it came out.
Because we got the screeners. We got the screeners.
Well,
all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Why does the Ninth Jedi still feel so much like Star Wars when we don't have the locations that we're used to? We don't have anything to do with Skywalker family legacy, any of that kind of stuff. We don't have Mandalorians. We don't have Darth Vader. We don't have the Empire. We don't have any of that. What is it that makes this feel like?
It's cheese pizza.
It's a cheese.
Okay, well, it's this cheese.
It is a cheese pizza.
It is cheese pizza, but what type of cheese pizza? Is this like deep dish or
deep dish
like stuffed crust or?
Anyway, all right. So the context for that statement, if you're not...
We use this analogy a lot.
Yeah, we should explain the analogy.
We should explain it.
Going all the way back to Andor Season 1, watching Andor, I was
loving it.
It's great. I love Andor, but is it really Star Wars? And when you watch The Ninth Jedi, it feels like this is Star Wars. And I guess the reason I said that with Andor is there are key things that to me make Star Wars feel like Star Wars.
And those
Force, lightsabers, not necessarily lightsabers all the
just
time, but the Force, right?
There's
that mythology of the Force, the light side, the dark side. The lightsabers are part of that.
Sure.
But you can have Star Wars without lightsaber battles even, and it still feel like Star Wars. But that mythology of the Force is really what, to me, makes Star Wars feel like Star Wars.
And that's the sauce.
That's what makes it for real.
So Andor is just cheese.
It's just cheese pizza. You can go and you can have the best cheese pizza or the best garlic cheese bread at Rodolo's last night, and it may not be.
But what if you dip it in marinara sauce?
It's still not
the
cheese
marinara
pizza.
sauce?
It's garlic knots. Right?
But there was a mention of Force in season 2. Is that the dipping in the marinara sauce?
It's
all
just
right, we're focusing on the wrong thing.
Why does the Ninth Jedi feel? I'll start with you, Sam, since Nathan's just obsessing with food right now. He hasn't had breakfast.
He's hungry.
That's good.
Why does it feel so much like Star Wars?
Well, the Force is front and center, and this whole idea, it almost. Let me take a step back. I think another aspect of it that sets it apart is it's set post Episode 9.
It acts like it could be 1,000 years.
That's what I'm saying.
They said like a few generations post what we know, and then jumping ahead a little bit in the second episode that we got, Tito was talking about how his ship has been stranded for like 100 years.
For 100 years. Yeah.
So. Yeah, probably 400 or 500 years
or more.
Post Episode 9.
And that, I think, helps a lot because it makes sure that you're completely removed from all this other stuff, and it's like, here's Star Wars again with a brand new cast of characters. Let's start over. There's a mystery, and let's focus on the thing that makes Star Wars in a lot of ways, the Force and Jedi and this mystery. And so I think all of that combined allows you to just kind of pull yourself out of the Skywalker saga for a minute and be like, oh, how's this tie in with this? And are we going to see this character and all that? And more just like, let's just enjoy a story set in Star Wars again, not worrying about the rest of the stuff. And I think that really helps it a lot.
You agree, disagree?
Yeah, I agree. I think it really lends itself well to just telling its own story. And you pretty much have all the same characters as you do in the Skywalker saga. You have the Margrave. Jaro, is that his name? I can't remember his
I just
know it was Margrave.
Yeah, it's called Margrave.
Margrave, who's kind of like this Obi-Wan Kenobi-esque character.
Yeah,
Kenobi, mentor.
You
have Big Furry, who is a Jedi, who is kind of like the Chewbacca-esque character.
Yeah.
Really interesting. Love seeing his, like, we'll get into that with the first episode. Then you have the young,
Ethan,
spunky kid who's still learning his way, kind of like a Han Solo-esque, Leia-esque, like, just mashed
I think
together.
he's more like Luke.
No, I'd say Kara's like Luke, taken out of the
feels like
world.
the hero's journey is Kara's journey.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
Yeah,
I would put Ethan in like a mix between Han and Leia, at least with the archetypes that they fulfill. And then you have 4-9s with like with an R2D2.
You gotta have a cute little droid.
So you have what you know is Star Wars. All is in this, at least in characters wise. You have a recognizable ship that we see a lot in episode 2. That's kind of like a mash between, like, in some ways the Millennium Falcon and in little ways like the Enterprise. In some ways it's a very recognizable ship that you would be able to pull out, and that helps. Well, the thing with this series is they have very recognizable locations with the temple. We'll get into that and all that stuff, but it's just you have a lot of familiarity set in something that is not familiar, so it makes it easy to get into.
It's uniquely and immediately identifiable as Star Wars, but not too much to the point where it's like, oh, this was from that, this was from that, this was from that. It's Star Wars, but it's starting.
And then you have something coming up in the show that's just like, why are we doing this again? But I'm sure we'll get into that.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, okay.
But I guess to keep going, something that was like really they harp on a lot in this, which can make a lot of the Legends fans really excited, is lightsaber colors having meaning.
Oh yeah,
a lot.
Yeah, I think it's right. If we get into the first,
let's get into
the short of this. You know, we're set, as we discussed a second ago. You know, at potentially hundreds, if not 1,000+ years. Into the future, and it's not been established that this is still. I mean, the Vision stories were intentionally written to not be a part of canon. Right.
But you very much can watch some of them.
But you can watch this one and you could say they could canonize. This.
Yeah.
They could make this something that's happening.
Same with, and we didn't get to talk about it, same with Screecher's Reach. I feel like that could be canonized. Yeah, that's getting that. Well,
the thing with those is it's all of them are just so self-connected or like self-contained, and they don't relate to anything we've seen in the larger Star Wars story that you can just say, yeah, that happened because it doesn't affect anything that you know.
Right. So we get in there, and the setting is, you know, you've got this temple that's in orbit, which is kind of cool, around this planet. The Jedi are extinct essentially. At this point, but it made me as I watched both episodes, volume 1 and 2, it doesn't seem to me that the Jedi as an idea are extinct, or that there are people that don't claim to be Jedi. It's that the Order, is extinct, and that's what's being reestablished by the Margrave.
Additionally, it feels like their knowledge and the technology to create the lightsaber.
Yeah, they've lost the lightsaber.
Which is an intrinsic part of being a Jedi, if you think about it.
So the Margrave supposedly summons these
7
potential Jedi, right, to this temple to begin the process of rebuilding the Jedi Order, to receive a lightsaber, and because on that planet they have found a deposit of kyber crystals, and so Kara's father, I can't remember his name, the Saber Smith is what we're going to call him. I think they even call him.
Yeah, they do. They call him Saber Smith.
The Saber Smith is now crafting these sabers with it, and that's where the story gets started. When we get to the planet there, and we start seeing Kara wielding the lightsaber for the first time and learning about the technique that the Saber Smith is using. What do you think about the differences in the way that the lightsabers are constructed or function, or they respond in the way that they do this story? I'll start with you.
Yeah, each one is unique, and I love in the first episode, Kara, like, she grabbed one and it was like colorless almost.
It was like a clear.
She didn't have like the connection with the Force and that kind of stuff that she show. The length was changing, all that stuff. Really cool stuff.
What do you think about that as an idea? Like the colors are based on the connection to the
can
Force.
Help, like,
the length of the blade is.
Because when you think of like Yoda, his is short, which you then think like, why is his short? Others are long.
Well,
did they construct it to be short? All that kind of stuff. And this one is just the explanation of the length matches the wielder, and then the color matches the connection with the Force. And we see that with, coming into a little bit later, big furry dude, don't remember his name. He originally had a red, which I'm sure this might even come to play in the TV series, as we'll talk about later. When he first ignited his, it was red, and then as he started to come back to the light side, it became purple.
Right,
which means that he has a bit of a push and pull with that.
Yeah,
so
you were going to say something, Sam.
Well, as for the length thing, we've seen that in canon, like in Rebels when I was rewatching it, and
yeah, you can,
and
as
Ezra
you
was
can
practicing, right?
Yeah.
But the color, I think this is a really clever way for them to nod to the Legends idea of the color means something, while also not having it break canon, so to speak, because it's not suddenly sabers in this story or in this telling of Star Wars match their user. It's the way that this specific Saber Smith makes them. So only these kind of sabers do that. So it's a neat way to nod to that and include it, but not.
I don't
like
know if that's
going to
be true in the series, which we'll get into. Because the bad guy, the antagonist in the series, has his own saber, and we see when he ignites.
I think he grabs Kara's, is what that is. I think he was using Kara's for a minute in the trailer.
We'll find out.
Anyway,
we're
jumping ahead.
We'll come back to it in a minute, but I love the idea that it's a great plot device too, because it allows when we get to the moment where the Jedi that have assembled, or these Force wielders that have assembled in the temple, ignite their sabers for the first time, you realize that they're
all red.
They're all red, and there's. I guess it could have been the same way if they were Sith, which they are, and they could have just had Sith lightsabers. But there's this thing that's going on also with Kara, right? Where her saber, you start to see her grow stronger in her connection to the Force, and it goes from that colorless version to a strong green version as she's connecting with the Force, and all of that. What did you think about the way that they presented the Margrave? Because when you first see the Margrave, not even like before he arrives, but on the hologram, he's very Vader-esque.
Oh yeah,
he looks like a villain.
So.
When you watch I know it's been 4 years, but when you watched this, did you kind of think maybe the Margrave was a villain when you first?
Oh yeah, no doubt.
I think you were supposed to, but that's kind of the whole point of this first episode, or at least this aspect of it. It's, you don't know. You can't judge a book by its cover, kind of thing. Like, we had all those Jedi who we thought were good, and then immediately their true character was revealed to be Sith. And then you had the Margrave, who obviously looks evil from like his design, but is actually the one putting it all together as like one of the better Jedis. So I think it's just a further example of that like idea that they're portraying there.
Yeah. What about the way that Kara's father, the Saber Smith, is instructing her in her connection to the Force? Because she ignites this saber. It's fluctuating in length. It's colorless.
Yeah.
And when she asks her father about it, and he explains that he constructed these sabers in the specific way that we've described with this. she concludes that her connection to the Force is weak, and he starts to instruct his daughter in the Force. That to me feels very. We've talked about it on this show when we talked about it with The Last Jedi, and what happened with Rey being a nobody and anybody could wield the Force. He basically is like, everyone can access the Force, he says. What how you train and how you develop that connection to the Force is what matters with this. What do you think about them bringing that into this story?
Yeah, I think it's a way to definitely quench like all those people that are like the whole Mary Sue thing, because anybody can have that connection with the Force. It just comes with practice. It comes with like how your connection is, and everybody has that ability. And then seeing her, like even we see when she's being chased by one of the bounty hunters, he's like, she's very strong.
Yeah,
with the
he
Force.
says that.
He can recognize it, but she can't. And then we find out, second episode, great callback, but when we find out in the second episode that her doubt was blocking her from being able to fully access her true power in the Force. And so it's like her self-doubt has been reversed. So her saying, I'm too weak in the Force, I can't have that connection. Well,
you're right.
You can't, because
it's
stopping
it's
yourself.
Right, do or do not. There is no try, right?
And so the minute she finally lets herself fully commit herself to the Force, her saber gets a color, she's able to do crazy stuff. So we see that, and it's a great way to portray that still applies to the second episode and will continue to apply in the show, I'm sure.
What are your thoughts on the way that the father talks about the Force to Kara in this, the things that we talked about? Anyone can access the Force.
Yeah, I think that's sort of an idea that's been, as we've discussed, been tried to thrown into Star Wars more lately. I feel like with we talked about it ad nauseum in The Last Jedi with like Broom Boy and stuff like that. I think it's important. It's an important message, I guess, to portray just to viewers, to be like, it makes it easier for you to see yourself in the story and to like put yourself into the story, and knowing that anyone can do it regardless of if they're from or not from some famous bloodline or something like that. I think it's I'm glad that they're continuing to talk about that.
It's going back to the Margrave too with this. There's actually a theme that finds itself over and over and over again in this first episode specifically, if I recall it. I'm not sure if I noticed it as much in the second episode. We'll talk about that one in a minute. But in this first episode, it's this idea of hidden identities, right? And these assumptions, right? Because we talked about it, the Margrave looks like he's almost Vader-esque with this, and you kind of get this, you immediately make an assumption with this. We've got the Jedi that we're assuming they're Jedi, and then we find out that they're Sith with it. But even the way that the Margrave is revealed throughout this episode, I think is really interesting. I don't know if you guys picked up on this, but we see who the Margrave is in that hologram, with it, and then this droid is communicating with the Jedi, and he's talking about the Margrave not being there. He's in isolation. He doesn't,
he'll be here soon. Yeah,
right. And then we find out the Margrave is in there with that, and he reveals himself to have been there. And then later in the episode, the Margrave's mask gets destroyed, and we see this old man with it. And all of this, what do you think about the way that they're setting up in this story the idea of hidden identities and that type of thing? Do you feel like that's gonna come out a lot more?
Oh, I think that it's gonna very much come into at least the show that we're gonna see. There's a lot we don't know coming into the show, and let's just be honest, the first episode was received as well as it was because of the twists and like, oh wow, that was crazy, that's insane, that kind of stuff. And so even with the trailer, we see the blue lightsaber of the antagonist. That's crazy. What does it mean? Who is he? We're gonna have a lot of, I'm sure, deception. Who knows? Maybe the bad guy's Kara's father. We'll see. Who knows? That would be crazy. That would be
I thought about that.
Insane. Wouldn't make sense, but it would be crazy.
It would be very Star Wars.
It would be very Star Wars. And the thing is, this company is amazing.
Tell me about that. What do you guys know about this company?
Well, they did Ghost in the Shell. which is one of the most famous animes of all time. Is a classic. And then their more recent thing, Kaiju number 8, was hugely popular.
That was 9.
I think it was 8.
It doesn't matter.
Hugely popular. I've watched a few episodes. It's a lot of fun.
No.
It's a lot of fun
right.
and has amazing storylines, and animation, of course, is beautiful. The action's amazing. So they're a very talented company, and they know how to do complex stories and deception, hidden identities. Something that was very popular in their first big thing of Ghost in the Shell. So
tell me about that. I'm not sure about the Ghost in the Shell.
Well, Ghost in the Shell is like a cyberpunk kind of era. It's set in the future. There's a girl who is like a robot. She's like basically an assassin at this point, and so but then she finds autonomy and is like having to figure out how to take down like the people that made her. And she's like trying to get her own freedom and all that stuff. It's very, I've heard.
Didn't they do a live action?
They did.
They did.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
People saying it was good.
Yeah.
So no.
So I'm curious
Anyway.
from an anime perspective. I think that, obviously both of you have seen a lot more anime than I have. Probably you more than even Sam.
I don't know.
I haven't watched very much.
Maybe. Yeah, probably. Potentially.
What do you think about the style of this and how it fits into anime?
It's
I love
amazing.
My only gripe would be this: the second episode was weird because they would switch between traditional like 2D animation.
They did that in the first episode.
I don't remember that.
They did.
The character
I
models?
watched both of them today.
Right before the record.
And the character models, they would switch to 3D animated character models as well.
At a couple points, yeah.
Okay.
They're early on in the episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
It just, I don't know. At least in the second episode, maybe it was just more
They
dry.
had a higher budget, so they're able to do more of that stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. It just kind of like threw me off a little bit when they would switch between the two. But
it's a very common thing for that company, and I know that they did that a lot with Kaiju.
Okay.
And
Not that it's bad.
It's common now to kind of mix those two for higher action moments, bringing in that 3D stuff.
Regardless,
it looks great.
Yeah, the whole
looks amazing
series is really well animated.
And they had a food moment in the second episode because you can't have an anime without a food moment. So.
Really? What do you mean by that?
It's a very
well. I think it was Studio Ghibli that really started that trend.
Maybe.
In a lot of the Studio Ghibli movies, they just would have like entire sequences of food that looked really good and was like a central part for a few minutes for some reason. I think Howl's Moving Castle really set that one into motion because it was like this big breakfast that it still looks amazing, and so it became a thing of like animes have really delicious looking food, and so it was fun that they had a little moment of like that in the second episode for sure.
Full disclosure, we did not really watch season 3 of Star Wars.
Not all of
when
it.
it first came out because of life and the way.
Yeah, I still haven't gotten to much of it.
Yeah, but in anticipation for the Ninth Jedi series, we've obviously watched that short with it. Reactions to that short, watching it the first time, it feels very different to me than the original one. And kind of tell me what you're thinking. You're nodding and you're shaking your head a little bit, so I'm curious about that.
I liked the first one better. Maybe it was the whole mystery and intrigue that was associated with the first one that made a difference. This one definitely felt like it was just trying to set the characters on the right path for what they're going to go into in the new series.
Okay.
So maybe that's where it is. But that doesn't mean it's a bad episode. I think it just was... I think it served its purpose in a way. I hate to use this word.
Don't you dare.
I hate to, but it's the only word I can really think of.
It's not true.
Say it.
I'm not saying that it can't be important and like important things can't happen in it, but I felt like it was a little bit filler in a way. In just the fact that it's to put the characters on the right path. It's more of not even a course correction, just I can't think of a way to describe it.
A bridge.
A bridge, yeah. I mean, not that it wasn't important. Obviously it is. It's putting them where they need to be for the rest of the story. But in terms of like major character development or major like revelations and things, there wasn't that much, I would say.
Okay, so if you're going to think of this in some way, shape, or form to be similar to a filler, you would almost suggest that this episode was unnecessary.
No, and that's why I didn't think that filler was quite the right word. I think a bridge episode is maybe a more apt description for it. I liked it. I just think that with what we got in that first episode, it just was like it almost felt like we were pumping the brakes a little bit, and it kind of brought the momentum to a little bit of a slow. But other than that, I mean, that's really my only complaint for the episode. Or complaint is probably too strong of a word as well.
What about you?
No, I loved it. I thought it was great. I don't think it stopped the momentum. I think it just carried it over through the series, kind of like put it on cruise control and just had to go forward. I thought that a way to dive deeper into Kara's character was awesome. We didn't get as much of the other crew, which is fine. You're always going to be making a fan out of me with cool new
droids.
butler droids.
I did like
Teto.
Love Tito, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Teto.
Yeah, Tito.
Like,
Tito's
Michael
Jackson's brother.
wearing-
Teto is this droid. So.
Wearing pretty
Tito's
much,
also a really nice vodka, by the way.
really
Spelled
Tito's
different.
Tito, right?
It's pronounced the same. That's why it's Teto. So anyway.
Teto. So
Kind of looked like what was the robot from Short Circuit?
Oh, Johnny Five?
Yeah.
I thought he reminded me of the droid
in the face?
from the Jedi Fallen Order.
BD.
BD1?
Kind of, yeah. A little bit. His shape of his head.
I can kind of understand. Yeah. But he was even wearing a suit.
Maybe
and then
Herbie,
he had
maybe Herbie
I did like the
cufflinks.
cufflinks.
Herbie
Yeah.
from Fantastic Four.
Yeah, a little bit of a
Yeah.
Herbie vibe. He was great. I loved that they were able to, and I don't think this is pumping the brakes. I think that's why I said it was just carrying it forward. It's okay to slow down.
They did slow it down.
It's okay to breathe. It is okay to have her wandering around the Teto. It's okay for her to wander around Teto in really cool. I said Teto?
Yeah, but you had to.
I did. To wander around through these awe-inspiring, beautiful
I
sceneries.
loved that ship. That was
It's
really
awesome. And then having her lift rocks. Let's do it. Have a whole episode about lifting rocks, which felt like was like, you know what? Screw you guys that didn't like Last Jedi. We kind of like this stuff.
We're gonna lift some rock.
We're gonna lift some. We're gonna have a whole episode about lifting rocks. Oh, we're gonna have a flashback about her lifting rocks and learning how to use the Force lifting rocks. But having them be able to work through that, and then you make me attached to this droid, and then have him sacrifice.
Yeah. What did you think about the sacrifice?
I was sad because I was hoping that we would have another I was hoping
he
the
he was gonna
3PO to the
accompany
R2.
or
he
more
even
of
had
the
the little-
R2 to the Anakin or the R2.
Yeah, I was hoping to have a little bit of that.
The chopper to the
But
Ezra.
an amazing
That's what 4.9 is for. So
an amazing way to set her on that path and she's obviously connected to droids. She's very close to 4.9s and has a very strong connection with him. And so for the droid to be the thing that inspires her to fully become that Jedi, may the Force be with you, all that stuff, be that great Jedi, is amazing to set her on this path. I think being able to reintroduce and bring the bounty hunters front and center and give us a little bit more of the plot of where that's going to go for, with their general being the antagonists of the upcoming series, and all of that being what's going to happen. It is set up, but it's setting the pieces ready for the game to be played. And the first episode was bringing out the board. This was setting the pieces down, and now we're ready for the series. So
that's a good.
I
analogy.
think a little bit of what you're saying with the first episode being better, I think it was insanely new. I mean, Visions itself
That's
was
true.
something crazy, and we were blessed to be able to have the screeners, and watching every episode felt like an event. At least it did for me. We were in a new world within Star Wars every episode. That's something I love about Visions, is it's a new world every time. But with the second episode, we're not in a new world. We're following something that we've already established. So it's not as exciting, and we're just carrying on something that we've already seen before. There were some episodes that even when they were in a new world, I was like, that was pretty good. Not as good as some of the others, but it's still pretty good. But it was still awesome to see a new world. And I even would love to see follow-ups to a lot of those episodes. But I think that this one was just getting us fully prepared and setting us on the path that we need to for an 8-episode limited series. They don't have much to work with. And if each episode is around that 25-minute mark like that it has been, they really don't have a lot to work with to fully.
Yeah, but they will. I mean, 8 episodes at 20-25 minutes.
That's a good time.
They'll be able to do enough. But say you had 10 episodes of Rebels to tell your whole story, it's rough. You have to set the pieces and
yes
get
and
things
no, though,
going
because the reason that Rebels and Clone Wars, when it was Cartoon Network, and that kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
the reason that it was sometimes 20, 22, 23 episodes was because it was television, and they had to create a whole season, which then gave you filler episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a great episode, but the AP5 episode where he goes and sees the space angels,
that is not a filler episode.
That's a filler episode.
No, it's not.
I mean,
learn more about AP.
The Purgle episode, when it came out, felt like a filler episode.
It was.
Filoni just basically,
There is no way you can. There is no way you can call that a filler episode.
It was at the time.
It is,
and he made it not a filler episode.
That it's not a filler episode.
Now it's not. But you understand.
I understand where you're coming from.
This one, when you do 8 episodes, I don't think they have to have filler.
No, I agree.
Everything,
but I don't think calling this, and I know you weren't meaning to call it filler. It's just you couldn't figure it out. I don't think in any way this was not up to the same quality or of the same importance as the first episode was. It's as important to get these characters, specifically Cara, to where she needs to be for this series to have the impact that it needs to, and for them to be able to tell the story that they are very much needing to. So
I think that it's kind of a both and. What you're both experiencing.
Cop-out answer
is where I feel like I'm sort of, I understand where you're both coming from.
You're in the middle.
Because I wanted more Margrave. I wanted more of that crew. I wanted more of what was happening with that. And it was like they were absent. This in the second episode, the big battle at the open, it opens up fast with this battle and all this other stuff, and Cara's gone, and then you don't get them again, really. I mean, you get like, oh wait, we better go find her, that one moment, and then you don't see her again until the end. I do love, though, the character development of Cara, and how they developed her, how they helped us see, I think that when I think back on the second episode, what I take away from the purpose behind the second episode is there's this legend of the Jedi that's still present, right? That's what Tedo keeps talking about. That my master kept saying the Jedi are going to come back. They're going to save us. And Cara struggling with, I'm not a Jedi, right? And so that's what we're getting through that whole episode. And they're establishing that piece of it, but I did want to see more of it, and so that's why when we watched the trailer for the series that's coming out tomorrow, when this
releases,
when this series comes out, it felt like, oh wow, we're getting all of that with this. What's your reaction to the trailer? I'll start with you, Sam.
Yeah, I think it looks incredible. I think it's going to have all and more of what brought us in, like drew us into the story to begin with. I mean, it's going to have all the cool action moments that we want to, but it is going to have it looks like it's going to have some complex discussions about the Force specifically. And I think that is what really is the strength of this story. And so that's what I'm looking forward to the most, I'd say.
What about you, Nate? What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it looks amazing. I think we're going to get a lot more of what we like. And in a way, I'm wondering if we're going to have we have 8 episodes to work with. We're missing 5 of the 9 Jedi. We have,
because those 4 Jedi were then replaced by the Sith in the first episode, right?
And Margrave calls Cara the Ninth Jedi, but we're still missing.
Well, he
5
says that he says in the first episode
that he's going to go find them.
So
I'm wondering if we're going to take like 5 episodes of this limited series for them to find these 5 Jedi, leading to big, three-part finale of her finding her father, or fighting General whatever his name is, Nawam, whatever it is.
Nawam, yeah.
Leading to that big climax, him following them while they're finding the Jedi, and then 9 Jedi fighting this order. It could be amazing if that's where they go. We're in for a treat, and
that would be cool too, because it's been a while since we've had a story where there were just a bunch of Jedi like fighting together.
It tried with the Acolyte, and
I was going to say the Acolyte
to find its footing.
It did struggle to find its footing, but the times when we saw a bunch of Jedi fighing,
absolutely
amazing. It truly,
those were the best episodes.
Yes. So if that's what we get in the series, we're in for a treat, and it's going to be great. And a part of me wants this stuff to be canon. I don't know if it would hurt, but then you have the people wondering, well, how did the Jedi Order fall again? And all of that stuff.
Right.
I think that they could make this canon, but they should never say it's canon.
I agree.
Does that make sense?
I want them to, but they shouldn't ever do that.
Like, they could use this from a storytelling perspective as they're treating this as what happened in story group discussions, and Dave Filoni in his laboratory, coming up with stories and ideas that this is the direction that they're going to go. But if you start saying that is the case, then you're struggling with that. You brought up something when you were talking about your reaction to the trailer. You said you think it's going to, from what you see, spark some interesting discussions regarding the Force. Why do you say that? What did you mean by that?
Well, I mean, we've talked about it a few times up into this episode, and it is kind of the big moment in the trailer. But they're showing all these clips of Nawam or whatever, the villain, the story.
Let's call him
General. I would call him Nawam, but he's the antagonist of the story. He's the one who put the hit out on the Jedi, the bounty. I think he's the guy who got Kara's father. So he's the villain. It's pretty clear he's the villain. And then when he takes one of the lightsabers, it looks like it could be a trailer cop out. It's just a regular saber that happens to be blue. But if it's one of Kara's father's sabers, or something like that, when he ignites it, it turns blue, and that's kind of the universally accepted sign that, oh, that's a good guy.
And that's the way Kara reacts to it.
Right. And so that's going to be is he a bad guy? Is it based on his conviction? Is he truly convinced he's doing the right thing? Is he actually a Jedi, using nothing but the light side, but doing it in a way that we would think is bad?
And then you end the trailer with Kara seeing herself holding a red lightsaber, which could be just a dream sequence.
Or it could be that these sabers are not built the same way that Kara's father built those lightsabers.
Yeah.
Or it's seeing or interpreting it a way that would be different than we've been led to believe, or it sees things differently.
Yeah. Can we talk about the Death Star?
I'd rather not.
I know.
Death Star. Which, okay. Well, 5th. Let's just go with the 5th Death Star, because honestly, in the first episode, we had a mini one with the temple being its own lightsaber.
No, that was
cool.
That wasn't
awesome.
That was just a beacon.
That was a beacon. That was
just a light.
It burned a man.
Did it?
Yes, it completely toasted a man.
When you
and
land on a kyber crystal that's being used to power a temple, that's going to happen.
Yeah, it's not a world. It's not a planet destroyer. Okay,
it's not a planet destroyer. It doesn't have to be. But it's tell me I'm wrong, but in the trailer, it looks like they're breaking apart that temple for the kyber in it.
Yeah, I'd be,
which would be crazy. And I'm sure the Margrave wouldn't be happy about that. But we're getting another Death Star.
That would be a bad day.
That would be a bad day. We're getting another Death Star. We're getting another weapon or whatever it is.
A super weapon powered by
kyber
that
crystal.
blows up planets.
We'll see how that goes.
Try it a nickel.
I think it'll be fun. That will probably be the climax.
I rolled up 3. Gosh.
4 So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. It's an interesting choice to do it again. I don't have a huge problem with it.
Is that them saying this is not part of that storyline, so we can do
Yeah,
I
think so.
I think it's just a limitation of where they're at. Like, when you're on a galaxy-wide scale, the most threatening thing you can think of is something like blow up planets.
Yeah.
In a localized story that takes place on one planet, something more like a really big bomb would be the equivalent, right? But when you're dealing on a planetary galactic scale, you kind of have
got to find a way to destroy other planets
and multiple at once. And I think there's a shot in the trailer where it looks like the beam, as it's flying even just past planets, is blowing them up.
It's destroying parts of them, which is
so
really awesome.
Yeah, I get it. I think it's just a result of the story that they're
we're getting
setting it in. It
Yeah.
would be nice if we got something else at some point, but I
It's
don't know
okay.
what that'd be.
The general has an awesome costume. Again, looks kind of like a mix between Kylo and Vader in a way. I'm digging it. It's looking great. We never acknowledged, but the Margrave has an awesome lightsaber with the ring around it. It's so cool. And I hope we get some more cool stuff like that. But I think that, we're going to get a lot of fun things in the series. Death Star 4 is going to be an interesting one, but
technically, I guess it would be 5 if you count all the little Star Destroyers in.
I don't count the Star Destroyers. No, I count this as 4.
Okay,
those are Star Destroyers.
I'll tell you this, it might be one too many.
Probably.
Except it has a blue beam this time. We haven't seen that before.
It has a blue beam.
We've had green,
which is pretty cool.
and red.
Also, let's acknowledge that the Force lightning in the first episode was just awesome.
Yeah,
like
the red Force
the
lightning.
red Force lightning,
stopping it.
The way that that was awesome. I hope we see. I just want more stuff like that. Just
I love the
crazy
fact that they started this. That first episode had like real stakes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
somebody, Jedi are getting killed in it. I mean, it's like we're right there in that world.
Mm-hmm.
With that, do you think that the future of Star Wars is probably brighter in animation than it is in live action right now?
I don't even think it's necessarily the medium that the stories are being told in. I think it's the lack of requirement that the story has to be connected to everything else and have all these cameos and be.
You're saying that because of visions in this
right.
space. Okay.
I think the stories shine better when they're just a story set in the universe of Star Wars. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love the characters of Star Wars, the ones that started it all, the original trilogy characters, Luke, Leia, Han, all that. Don't get me wrong, I love that, but that's not always necessarily what makes Star Wars Star Wars. I mean, you can introduce new characters and have them become part of Star Wars identity. Ahsoka was not liked for the longest time, and now I don't think there is a Star Wars fan out there that would be like, oh, I don't like Ahsoka, or like, who doesn't even know of her? Like, she's iconic, right? So I think that Star Wars has to continue to move on that path of let's just tell new stories with new characters that don't have to be tied to everything else, and that's where we get great stuff like the Ninth Jedi and Screecher's Reach that we'll be getting more of, and just all that. I think
Ronan.
Visions is just it's an example after an example after an example of that working. And I think Skeleton Crew as well worked because of that same reason. It was its own story, so connected. Unfortunately,
that series wasn't as popular as it should have been.
It really
the marketing was terrible.
It was horrible. But everyone I talked to who's seen it,
if you watched it, you're like, oh, that was really fun.
Right, because it's a great Star Wars story that's doing its own thing. I need more of that.
I think that I can attribute it to the whole, like, we had the dark ages of DC when it came to movies and everything, but also
we still do.
Not really. Supergirl didn't perform well, but Superman was good. Lanterns looks good. Clayface is going to be good. We're going to be good.
Batman 2 will be good whenever it comes out.
Yeah, he's actually going to be the old Bruce Wayne by the time it comes out.
It's actually a Batman Beyond
movie.
Within the dark ages of DC, we also had a golden age of the DC animated movie universe.
Okay.
Which was amazing.
Yeah, you got it.
And had
the best
some
animated
the best animated superhero stuff ever.
Yeah.
With one of the greatest endings of a universe that we've had. And they were okay ending it. And DC right now, we're going to have a lot of more fun animated stuff coming up. They're able to tell these stories with the 3-part Nightfall series, which is going to be...
Did you guys see the trailer? I haven't seen it.
It looks so good. And I have so much to talk about that. It's going to be amazing. But
do we need to start a Nightfall podcast?
No. But the thing is, DC was able to tell its stories, that its insane stories in animation, while live action was faltering and had a lot of time between it and wasn't high quality. Not saying that the Star Wars live action things we've gotten aren't of insanely high quality. Andor is amazing. Mandalorian and Grogu was a ton of fun. We're in a good place when it comes to that, but we have a lot of length and time between them. Starfighter is going to be awesome. I'm excited for that. But with our animation, we're able to get a constant flow of really high quality, fun stories that you can't usually tell in live action. That's something that animation allows you to do. It's something that video games allow you to do. Jedi Survivor is something that I don't think we truly could get in a live action movie. It's too long of a story. There's too much that needs to be done. It's crazy. There's a lot of stuff that you have to do. So with it in a video game, you're able to tell the story. And that's why some people are saying like Indiana Jones belongs in, like the future of Indiana Jones is within animation and video games because of the new game, and I think that they have some stuff that they may be doing with animation here pretty soon.
You need to finish that game so I can borrow it.
Yeah. But we just have there's a lot of franchises that are able to do what they need to do in animation right now, because the live action stuff is just not going to work as well. You look at Marvel, they haven't done anything animated outside of X-Men 97 right now. They haven't done any shows. I think we have
They did What If.
They did What If,
that Eyes of Wakanda show,
which I do not remember watching
too yet.
But we're having Vision Quest come.
That's live action.
Live action.
Yeah, I know. But I'm bringing that
in
into
October.
That's in October.
That's in
okay.
October.
So yeah,
we haven't gotten a trailer for it.
No, we have not.
No, they'll release it at D20
probably. But what I'm saying is, like, with these shows, with animation specifically, we're able to tell crazy stories. Let's just be honest, they couldn't tell X-Men 97 in live action right now because of the...
X-Men 97 is a bizarre show.
There's so many insane things.
Are you all
It's
caught
just
up?
X-Men were... No. But animation's lending itself well with Star Wars.
But it's not, I agree with
Visions.
what you both are saying, right? But I also say there's an element that's like with Shaw Matalord.
Shaw Matalord.
Shaw Matalord.
Wow. I thought that was some random
Pentecostal.
I really thought that was going to be
for a second.
I thought
Shaw Matalord.
that was okay.
Maul Shadow Lord.
There we go.
That's set. I think it's more aligned with what you're saying, because what you're saying is it's taking at stories that are outside of these characters. Maul is not.
It's very much connected.
It's set
You're right.
right
You got Vader.
in the universe, and it was
Oh, it was incredible.
it was peak.
It was incredible.
It was good.
It was peak.
It was good.
Because you can tell stories in animation in a way that you can't tell stories in live action.
I agree.
And I think that the thing, and the other thing that really concerns me is honestly seeing what's happened with Doomsday trailer and what happened with the ticket sales for Doomsday, and now what's happened with Brand New Day. And
Why is that
Marvel
concerning?
is so there. Right?
Marvel always is going to be there.
And
Well,
and I don't know if Star Wars is I want it to
You're gonna
recapture that. I don't know.
Let's
if it's
just
ever
be
gonna
honest.
capture that again.
Starfighter is going to be
I pray it is
bigger than we can imagine, even more because of Ghost Rider now.
Oh, it's a brilliant move. Very
smart. Genius by Disney to do that.
It amplifies Starfighter
Yep.
by bringing
I
Gosling Levy and the writer, I can't remember his name, into
Yep.
Ghost Rider. I agree with that.
I just don't think Star Wars is going to get back to that place.
It doesn't need to.
It's that but I mean,
It does too. No,
It really
older.
doesn't. It started not in that place. And it's
No, that's
okay
just
that
not
we...
true.
No.
What?
Star Wars is
It's opening day.
it was
a phenomenon.
It was
Yes.
only in like 30 theaters, but
you got to think that Star Wars is like started 40
50?
years before.
it's the 50th anniversary.
Yeah, I
next
know.
year.
I'm saying it's like
Well,
way older than the MCU is right now. So even if the MCU, a lot of people are kind of like, all right, where are we going with the story? In a lot of ways, it's still newer. And you've got Spider-Man, which that name just prints money, and an Avengers movie, which
that name prints
even
money.
if people are going to go see the movie just to see, oh, are they going to be able to pull this off? Like, that alone is just going to draw people in.
And that was the way it was with Star Wars up until the end of the sequel
I think
trilogy.
part of that problem, too, is they just haven't had enough they haven't had enough movies in the theaters. And I think Mando and Grogu was good, and I liked it, but I don't think it was big enough like Star Wars used to be. I think we talked about it when it came out. The movie was there to just get people, just to remind people that Star Wars can be in theaters. I don't think it was supposed to be big. I'm hoping Starfighter does that.
Yeah, Starfighter.
But I think Star Wars needs to remember that it's best in the box office and start releasing more movies more than once
It's
every
not
like
best
8
in the
years.
box office, though.
It is.
That's the problem that I'm running into.
Well, okay, story-wise.
Is that a problem? If it's not best in the box office, why be worried about it? We're Star Wars fans. It's still making enough money and having enough engagement for them to make an entire new series based off of 2 episodes from a series that
But this is not going to be a moneymaker for them.
No.
It's not going to be sustaining the franchise.
But still, we're Star Wars fans. I'm excited for any new type of content here.
I get it, but I know that that Star Wars has to make money to continue.
Well, and Star Wars used to be an event.
It did.
The movies used to feel like an event. And don't get me wrong, I'm looking forward to...
We said the same thing about Marvel. A year ago, we said the same thing about Marvel.
And my problem with Marvel is that there were too many movies.
No, there weren't enough. And then when a new movie came out, it was like...
What are you talking about?
We had 3 movies last year.
Right.
We had... What did we have? We had 2 movies last year. We had Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four.
No,
Fantastic Four did great.
New World.
And Brave New World. Brave New World didn't do too great. Thunderbolts did really good. Fantastic Four did really good.
It was critically, it was received well. Fans received it well. It didn't do great.
Thunderbolts did good at the box office.
It didn't do that great.
It didn't.
Well, Fantastic Four did great.
Fantastic Four did fine at the box office, but was not the
What do you consider great?
I don't know. I just know that it wasn't as
I get that, but Marvel's doing just fine here. And we said the same thing about it a little bit ago of, well, maybe these movies aren't going to do too well. It's not an event anymore, but we're back at it. So,
and I think Marvel, I'm not saying that Marvel isn't doing well in the movies or in the theaters. It doesn't feel like an event. Doomsday will feel like an event.
But it does.
Spider-Man was an event.
Spider-Man did.
Doomsday
and that was nice. Doomsday is
going
going to feel like that, but last year we didn't have that.
Yeah, so why are we like putting our finger to the wind and being like we're not in a good spot? I know we haven't had a Star Wars movie that has felt like an event in quite some time. We have Starfighter coming up. That's going to be an event.
But I don't know if that'll feel like an event.
If you doubt it, you're not going to be able to achieve it. We just watched a whole series on that, 2 episodes on that. It's Ryan Gosling and Sean Levy who are doing Ghost Rider, doing another thing that was a massive miss by Disney was naming Mandalorian and Grogu. There was not a mention of Star Wars anywhere in that title. So a casual person, let's just be honest, an old guy, they knew, but it was a mistake. Solo, a Star Wars story. Rogue One, a Star Wars story.
Well, wasn't Mandalorian and Grogu Star Wars, the Mandalorian
No, it
was
just the Mandalorian and Grogu. Look it up on IMDb. It would just be coming up as Mandalorian and Grogu from what I saw. You put in Star Wars, Starfighter. It is Star Wars first, and then just a subtitle with it. It'll draw. And you have Ryan Gosling. You're going to be just fine.
I get that. But you shouldn't have to rely on big actors to bring people into the theater. Star Wars just used to be the thing that people would go to the theaters just to be excited to see a Star Wars movie.
I think they're relying on big actors. I think that
they absolutely are with Ryan Gosling. I'm not saying he's not going to do a great job.
So you're saying they should have hired somebody small for it to be a good Star Wars movie?
Where are you coming from?
Because you're saying if they shouldn't need big actors to bring in people.
Correct.
I think Star Wars should be bigger than the name on the merch.
Yes.
But is it a problem with the big name?
No.
Star Wars shouldn't need Ryan Gosling.
I'm not saying that they can't have Ryan Gosling. I'm just saying it feels like that they're casting him because he's a big actor. He's done incredibly well in the box office lately. They announced
maybe he fit the movie.
And I'm not saying he can't fit the role, but it feels like they're using him as a
I don't think that they're using him as a crutch at all. They had Sean Levy do the movie, and Sean Levy wanted Ryan Gosling in a role that's going to be very Ryan Gosling.
I think the point that I'm trying to make about all this is Star Wars right now feels like it's very much at a crossroads. It couldn't come, honestly, if you're at the lowest point of Star Wars in the Disney era, which we are, there's no way you can say we aren't. You can't come at a better time, because next year is the 50th anniversary of the release. They're going to put the original Star Wars back into theaters in IMAX. You're going to get Star Wars or Maul Shadow.
Careful.
Whoa, get it out.
Whoa.
Maul Shadow Lord Season 2. You know, what I'm hearing about Ahsoka Season 2 is amazing. That it is going to, all the criticisms of Ahsoka Season 1, which were real. And if you rewatch Ahsoka Season 1, you're like, oh, that's a little weird. Like that
I haven't watched it yet.
Some of that, it's just like, why did they choose to do that battle that way? That looks weird. There's some weird stuff in it. With it, story wise, I love it. With it, but I think Filoni learned his lessons with it. If we can get all the way to that, build up, and then have. You're not going to get $1 billion brand new day type weekend with Starfighter, but if you can get a $500 million opening weekend with Starfighter,
brand new day is unprecedented.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, I agree. But if we can get a $500,000 opening weekend worldwide for Starfighter, I'll be like, okay, we've got something to build off here. If it comes in at Mando and Grogu type numbers again, You're watching the end of the Star Wars cinematic universe.
I don't think that could happen. We're going to have celebration building up, like you said, the 50th anniversary.
I hope so.
Of Star Wars: A New Hope in theaters and IMAX, which that is going to be eventized. There's no doubt about it. That is going to be an event, and IMAX has never been bigger than it is now.
That's true.
Everybody's fighting for IMAX screens. Doomsday was fighting, and then was like,
yeah,
well, let's just make our own for it. We can't get IMAX screens.
We'll see.